Your counterpart.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. I think I told you last meeting we were going to research doing a scratch coat on Licking View Drive and Franklin Avenue. They worked on that this week. Got them back in to do the scratch coat that Kokosing and Scott from Jobs is recommending. It is, oh my God, it's $55,000, whatever that is. $369.90. And originally, remember that Jobs had put in a scratch coat, but their estimates were high, but the bids came in a lot less than what we anticipated, so that's why I wanted to look at the scratch coat again. I did talk to the mayor today, and he said, as far as he was concerned, he was for it, to go ahead. I just wanted to explain where the money, how we're going to do the money. We're estimating with our $5 and $10 license plate tax money that we'll have $550,000 by the end of the year. The bid came in to the paving of $513,000. So if we're looking at, we have $37,000 that we think we're going to collect out of our license plate tax money. And these are all estimate number I rounded. $55,000 for the scratch coat. We have $37,000. That means we're short $18,000. But the Scott went back through some Jobs and Kokosing went back through, and there are some things that we can. It's on there. You can pass it around eventually, but there are some things that we can cut back on. There's some repair work that we can put towards this. There is some pavement markings that we don't have to do. There is there's like a little berm they were going to do on Franklin, but they said that probably within a year that'll be gone because of how hilly and stuff is. So all those savings we can put with the savings that we already have that's in this money right here is $15,600. So we're short $2,400 to do that scratch coat, which I think is pretty good. And also Scott thought their quantities might be off a little bit. He thought that it might be $3,800 less than the $55,000. So if that's the case, we can cover the whole expense through the money that we're going to collect out of the $5 and $10 money.
But based on it looks like they're not doing all of it. They're just spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, is there, maybe just, shorten up a spot just a little bit, or, when you're doing stuff. I mean, I know they go by yardage and stuff like that and stuff, but, sometimes you don't need to put up with the crown as much.
Right, and they can still move asphalt around as we go down there, but as I said, we had that meeting, and Ted from Kokosing, which he's been with them a long time, he just said that there are areas that need it, or it could look pretty bad pretty quickly.
I think we should do it if we have to borrow it, because I do too.
Yeah, well, anyway, we're covered, and the only thing I will come back in my committee meeting in 2 weeks, and we'll do we'll probably appropriate the money for the change order. We'll know probably exactly what it is then. But anyway, it looks like it's pretty much covered with our $5 and $10 license plate tax money. So if that's okay with the majority of you, I can just okay.
Thumbs up.
Okay, I will just go back to
If you could,
Jobs and tell them to go ahead.
give us, at the meeting, give us some concrete price.
Right. Yeah. It will be. And it'll be just more of the change order, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Hey, Bob.
Yep.
Dick and I was talking. There, right where you turn in, go to the high school, right. What makes that so rough in there all the time? Cause the trees.
Oh no! Well, it's the turning of the buses. Yeah, the constant turning of the buses.
Constant turning of those tires on
Yeah.
that asphalt is just gonna keep eating
That's
away.
what we talked about that at our last meeting. That's what they said. So yeah, so they're going to hit the bad areas, and then like if we have asphalt where like we have the crown, we can move that over there too. And this is going to be scratch coat will be 3/4 inch.
Just ought to get us 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Well, yeah, at least we hope. I hope more than that, but unless we go to that, I don't know when that federal highway money or whatever it is we're going for.
That's what I'm thinking about in the future. It's going to take us a couple of years to get in line for federal highway money.
Right.
With Licking View Drive, we want to make sure we got a road that's going to hold up until the federal highway can kick in. And
Now, this will leave us, just two things I want to tell you, this will leave us zero balance going into 2016, which means we would have to save 3 years again unless we find capital improvement money or we.
I think some of those accidents that happened several years ago down there, I think that was because of the condition of the road. Caused people to lose control.
I think it's driving fast.
think it's
Jeff.
speed,
I think it's speed more than,
Yeah.
more than,
Yeah.
the
And
road
the only
surface.
other thing is, if there is now we had a contingency, so if there's any change orders, there won't be any money left to do a change order. But I talked to Scott today again, he says the only change order that I am anticipating from Mr. Kurbox somewhere or something like that they have to do. We're thinking of the small potatoes, they've been all over the roads. I don't think they're gonna find.
So Fox Run
Anything.
shouldn't change, the subdivision
No.
shouldn't change. We're not doing Green Valley, right?
No,
We're
going
working
for
on trying
yeah,
to
we're
get
going through a CDBG money for that.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Eddie's going door to door.
they need to, the
Right
government,
now, that's fun up
the
there.
thing of it is, what it is that they need 8 out of every 10 people, they
Right.
need to know what their income is. Yeah,
Report,
that's-
report of the IRS?
they have to get that to qualify
qualify.
for that fund, for that, that's what they have to do. They have to get 8 out of every 10 people that live on that street. Just please, we wanna know what your income was. And probably some of them is at 0, you know that. I don't know.
Report of the IRS. You do a tax return verification.
So I'd say that, you know, if he can get them to, give them the information, we ought to qualify for that damn thing.
All right, I'll go ahead and tell him, go ahead and do it.
Got anything, Tim? No? Okay. All
Thanks, John.
right. Thanks, John.
5:37, we'll start our meeting.
Public service meeting, we're gonna start out with updates on the new water tank. We received the geotechnical report last week and forwarded to the DNN tanks. This is coming from the engineer. He's looking forward to following the tentative schedule. Tank plans should be completed by June 12th. Completed water line and site plans around June 24th. Submit for review and process to the EPA June 24th also. And receive comments from the city and EPA sometime around July 24th. This would put bidding in mid-August. Now, if we decide to bid that, what we're kind of concerned about is we're wondering if we shouldn't just bid this project at the beginning of 2016 and do it then. And the reason for that is this would push the tank construction into the fall. The engineer will check with DNN tanks to see how late they can build their tanks in this area without negatively impacting the concrete. They prefer not to pour concrete when freezing. Temperatures are expecting during the first 28 days of curing. So they want to keep it under freezing for the first 28 days of the curing of the concrete. Now there is ways around that, but then it's a lot of times it becomes more expensive because they got to cover them, they got to heat them. It could get into a little bit more expense on the total project. So the way things are kind of looking now is we're kind of looking at bidding this early spring or late winter, early spring, and possibly get things under construction by April or May for the new tank.
Good in January, right, beginning of the new fiscal year for these companies and get some aggressive
We can do
bids,
We can do that.
because we'd be first out of the gate.
I think that's better off than, some people think late in the year, but a lot of people have already got their jobs done, bid for the year and all their work done. So, yeah, I think January is definitely a better time to bid the project. So that's kind of where we're at on the tank. Does anybody have any kind of questions? Go ahead.
Is the tank and the lines supplying to the tank are from all one, or
Or
is
one
it,
project.
that's all one project? I mean, because you could always lay the water line to the tank before the tank's ever built. I mean, you know, they could do
And then
they could
build
bid
the
it,
tank after
and
that.
they could run the lines through the winter or whatever, and then spring to the tank. You
That's
know?
an idea. You know, we could bring that up, see what
You
they
know,
say.
yeah.
I mean, you know, doesn't matter which you do first, I mean,
Sure.
you know, get within so close to it.
Yeah, we could continue on and, yeah, lay the line and then do the tank at
Or bid it either
spring.
way, you know, do it now that way or the other way, and
Right.
completion date between now and then, and
Yeah.
see what kind of bids you get.
What's giving us our best price?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It would either be this summer or January 1st. To bid it. I don't know. We could bid it now and bid it contingent upon, you know, doing
Could
it
you
that
bid?
way.
Could you bid it twice? I mean, bid it to where, say, hey.
Well, it's
We'd
gonna
like
be
a
one
price.
bid, but
Yeah.
what we would do in the bid, we would say, you
You
don't
get a
start the
completion
tank.
date.
Yeah, you don't start the tank till March
Right,
1st.
March
you know.
1st,
But
yeah.
you can go ahead and lay the water line now, and get it in. And, you know, we could bid it that way. Yeah, that's a possibility. See what the engineer says, see what his ideas are. Another thing is financing too. I mean, this is all built into our rate structure, but, you know, we haven't exactly got the money in place yet for it.
Yeah, the longer we wait, the longer we'd collect money before we'd have, I mean, you know, we'd have some money in hand
Right.
before we.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter if we get the water tank.
I
We haven't had the water tank, so
Right, I
is
told
another
him-
year gonna hurt us as
Another
far
six-
as
well,
replacing?
actually, you're
WCLT?
talking 6 months.
For
really.
6 months,
Yeah.
not really a
Yeah,
year.
you're not really talking a whole year. So, I mean, it's still under
The
design.
only ones you're impacting are the people in high elevations of the subdivisions.
Yeah.
that Need water pressure, so whatever.
The only impact is if WCLT would go down.
What my concern is the shape of the WCLT tank. I mean, it's not in the best of shape.
Just like
But-
Tim said, it's, you know,
I think what we're gonna do is we'll probably end up going on top of that thing, take a look at it, and see how things are going, because we've had some major repairs done to the top of that tank. So, we'll see how everything looks and then
We don't
go.
wanna put any more money in that thing if we're gonna have
No,
it torn down.
no, that's. Okay, next item, we'll talk about is, we've been kind of kicking around some things on deposits. A lot of communities hold a deposit, on a, you know, and what it does is it helps renters out.
I remember that, I'm thinking, I
it
can't believe
it
we
helps
didn't.
the landlord,
Not
not the renter.
renters, but it helps the landlords out.
Yeah.
What you do is you hold like $100. We have been, I'll read this. We have been contemplating adding a $100 sign-up fee or possibly an activation fee. There's two different things. There's an activation fee and there's a what we would call a,
Sign up.
yeah, an activation
Security
fee
deposit.
or a security deposit. The advantages is it would help reimburse landlords on skipped final bills. Could the city see income from this? Possibly by keeping the interest. Some communities keep the interest.
All 6
Some,
cents of
some
it.
communities, you know,
This
just,
is for property owners too. correct?
they can't.
Homeowner. You know, it should mitigate the number of them we got put on the auditor's books.
Right. That's been always,
Less than nothing else.
Keith Alexander's thing was, I mean, he never wanted to do it because he was always afraid of having to pay the interest back to people. And we've already found out that some communities don't pay the interest back.
Revised code allows it, no problem.
Now, when you talk about paying the interest back, that's to the.
Yeah, like
renter that
you would put
makes
in
the
a
deposit.
fund and you would hold $100 deposits and then that would, you know, because you're holding a $100 deposit, do we have to pay them interest? Well, from checking into some other communities, Pickerington does not pay interest. But this, let me tell you what some of the cities do. They don't, a lot of them don't keep it forever. Like Newark returns the deposit after 1 year. They just give the deposit back to them, to the people. Lancaster's deposits back into your account after 6 months. So they hold a $100 deposit. After 6 months, they put it back into your account, and that $100 is used to pay on your water bill. That's the way Lancaster does it. Now, what's nice about it, and we haven't done, and it doesn't reflect on your water bills or anything, but a lot of places have what they call an activation fee. Newark has that. It's $10. And what that is, that just goes into an account. And that $10, and that builds, and you could use it for like, I don't know why you could use it for different capital improvement projects or.
We'll pay for our meter reading system.
Yeah, help pay for the
Yeah.
meter reading system, help pay, I mean, it could accrue in that fund.
Yeah.
Now to give you an idea, I talked to Denise today, we have anywhere between 30 to 40 people sign up for waters a month. So if you would hold, say $10, that's about $350 a month or about $4,200 a year that would go into this fund.
How many are renters and how many are owners? You got a
I
mix
don't
of
know, I'm guessing the majority of, I didn't ask her to
80%?
split them out, but I guess the majority of it would be renters, probably 80% of them,
Yeah.
at least. So if we would implement, the activation fee, it's just another income that doesn't reflect on your water rates.
Right.
People don't see that, and it goes into a fund and helps build, and we can use it for whatever you guys want to use it for.
$400 a month or something.
Yeah, about 350 is what I figured, on an average, 350 a month, that's about $4,200. If you do a $5 fee, someone does $5. Lancaster does a $5 activation fee. So they're, that amount of money would be about $2,100 a year for us, if we do it that way. $10 would be about $4,200 income. So, something we're kicking around, something we're thinking about. I was just wanting to get your
Activation,
feeling
right
on it.
now, you have to go out and turn it on, right?
Yeah.
You have to send a crew out there to do it.
Those-
But it's costing you more than $10.
Oh, sure,
Well,
probably in the long run.
then,
But
I
it's
mean,
money that we're not getting now.
no, but I'm just saying, if it costs you more, John, than $10, then why shouldn't we look at maybe
More than
$15 or
$10.
$20? Because, hey, you want your water, you want it turned on,
This is,
we gotta send the guys out there to do it.
Is that the accident, or is it just a change of, in other words, if I sell my
this
house.
is an
and
activation fee that's charged to anyone that signs up. They call it an activation.
Yeah, but are you saying sign up for water, or is just switching the account over from one person to the other?
It's when you sign up for water. When you originally come in and you're signing up for water, say you move to another location, or you come in from out of a town and you're signing up for water. There's a $10, what they call $10 activation fee. Lancaster has a $5 activation fee. Newark has a $10 activation.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is, if I have my house, okay, and let's say I sell it to Doug, okay? Okay,
And he
he wants to
moves
come, he comes in, he goes, I need the water bill changed from Tim Kelly to Doug, and you've done a final reading on it and everything, okay? The water's never been turned off or nothing, okay? All you're doing is in the accounts, putting Doug Heffley on there as opposed to Tim Kelly on the address. That's all you do is, you aren't shutting off, you aren't sending the guy out, you aren't doing anything other than just that.
Well, another thing you gotta remember with this new meter reading system, we won't even.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But what Doug's saying is you have to send the guy. What I'm saying is, of the 30-some you do, I bet most of them are just changing the name of an account. It's not necessarily that the house has been shut down and anything turned back
I
on.
think,
It's
Tim,
still
I think a lot of them are
I
rent.
still
I
say
think
it's.
But even a rent, do
activation
you
fee,
shut
whatever you
the
call it.
apartment off, or
If someone has a final bill and that's left empty, yeah, we shut it off. Sometimes they can move right in. But if they come in to sign up for water, they would pay an activation fee. No matter who it is.
Regardless whether we
If you-
did it or
If
not.
you move into, if you would move in, the way I understand the way it works, now I don't know for sure, but, let's say you sold Doug the house, he moves from his house into your house, someone moves into his house, well, whoever's moving into his house is gonna pay a $10 activation fee. And when he goes into your house, he's gonna pay a $10 activation fee.
Regardless of whether somebody's sent out there to do it or not. When
It's
they come
$10.
here. the
but
activation-
right now you don't charge anything to change someone's thing.
Now, we
the
do
bill.
charge for like if we delinquent, I think there's an additional charge for that to go out and like if we have to shut them off for delinquent.
Yeah.
Then there's like a $30 turn-on fee because
Yeah,
it's
I
added
think
to
you
that
should
bill.
be. I think you should put more thought into it, because I kind of think along the same route as Tim does.
Should
You
be
don't
the
think
$10.
somebody should be charged then?
Not right up, but out more, because there's people that's gonna look and say, we're gouging them, and that's, and if we have to, if we can come
$10?
up with a positive thing, I'd okay it, but
I'm just telling you what other communities do. We don't do it, but now another thing is I don't know on the deposit. I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna gain on the deposit.
Well, that's what I'm
If
saying.
you
Why
give
you-
it back to them after 6 months.
I wouldn't.
I
now
guess if they
some-
sign up and they don't pay their bill,
Now,
you would have it already.
yeah.
You have the money ahead of time, because you pay that way you would have, it's almost like the first month's rent as opposed to,
I think you're kind of doing it for the landlord. What you're doing is you're holding $100 back from the landlord.
Right.
If this guy skips out within 6 months or a year, that $100 helps the landlord out.
Yeah, but it's still also on residential houses too, right?
Yes, I would, yeah,
It's
it's on
gonna
rent.
help, it's gonna also help mitigate that amount that you're not gonna collect, it's gonna go on the tax bucket.
Right.
As well,
That's true.
okay, so I could
Well, most-
support $10.
I guess I can't believe we don't already have
water.
an activity
Processing.
fee.
Somebody's got to do.
Oh, yeah.
When you sign
Some
up for
kind of
telephone, you pay
labor-intensive
ahead. When
thing.
you sign up for water, you pay-
sometimes
Normally you
it's
pay
easy,
ahead of everything, that's why I'm
sometimes
really.
it's easy,
You don't
like
have-
you said, you're just moving from one name to the next. Sometimes that place has been
Still-
set and empty for 6 months, and you gotta go on, turn them off. You know, it's kinda like an average thing, you know, I mean, it just depends. Sometimes it works smooth, like one
I would
person
think it'd be
moves in,
$25 or something like that, I mean,
one
I
person moves out,
for
one
time.
person moves in. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
The thing is with the rental situation, you were talking about that. I would guess that most landlords have built this $100 or some figure into it because they've been stuck. Somebody moves out and they owe, and the renter owes the water money, it doesn't get turned back on until the renter
Well,
pays the past due.
not only that, but
The renter doesn't pay the past due, it
sometimes
goes back to the
we know
landlord.
that-
Yeah.
and
Then
you
the
know, that
$100
the
helps
majority
the
of landlords are saying, hey, you wanna rent my property, okay, I need $250 as a deposit. Now, that not only takes care of
Now, go back and
possible,
start that again.
a landlord's gonna say, hey, you wanna rent my property, it's $250 as a
Yeah.
deposit. When you move out, if this place is not a total wreck, you'll get your 250 back. But if you didn't pay the last water bill, I'm taking it out of that 250. So the majority of landlords are protecting their own butts. I mean,
They still say
am I right?
But they'll,
they still say that's not enough.
I know it's still not enough, but at least it's
so
something.
see, you'll get people moving out, renters move out, and don't pay their bill. You're looking at 3 months worth of water, but
You're correct.
That could be
Yeah,
Because
that's
by the time
That
we
could be
bill,
$300.
we're always a month behind, and by the time we bill, now, we're talking about when we get this new system implemented, that time lag's not gonna be as much. It may be just a month behind instead of like, sometimes it's almost as much as 3 months by the time.
Yeah.
If the renter just kind of drags on and then, you
Yeah.
know, a landlord can be stuck with 3-month bill.
Honestly, I thought we
Well,
had a deposit. I thought I could support $10. I can't believe we didn't have one.
Now, there's two
I
different
can't
things. There's the deposit, they're a $100 deposit,
Yeah.
and then there's an activation fee.
Right.
Two different things I'm talking here.
Yeah.
The deposit, I don't know, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't understand the deposit thing. I understand the activation. I mean, I can't believe we don't charge something when people come to sign up,
We don't
we
charge
don't
them a
pay
fee.
something for it and they get
Pay
it,
absolutely nothing.
you know? I mean, I can't believe we've never had that.
Never heard of that.
I think we should.
I do too. I agree with the activation fee.
So if you build a
Deposit,
new
the
house,
deposit,
Keep on the deposit.
and I was hoping that the mayor would be here to discuss this a little bit, because he was really big on the deposit when I was talking with him
I
earlier.
went to it.
And
I think it should be too. That's-
So,
I do 10 and it's money that we otherwise got to put on the tax bill, because you got to wait for a conveyance to get your money.
Yeah,
Why do we, I mean, we could wait years and years on that. To finally come back.
not
See,
on
are we
not
cro-
on the
are we-
water, not
are
on
we
the
collecting
water. We
interest
get that
on-
money before we turn the next one on.
not if it goes in on the lien. Like you talking about on,
On what?
when we had delinquents, you know, what I'm talking about, where we get our money back and turn it into the,
that should be for the next time the water, if it's on a house, a lien on the house, we would get it before because when the next property owner
you're not
buys it, they
gonna-
have to pay. the
you're not
lien
gonna
off.
tell that landlord you're gonna turn that water back on if you hadn't paid the bill. When you pay the bill, we'll turn your water back on.
well, the landlord, yeah. The
Well, same way
landlord's
with the
ultimately
person,
responsible.
same way with the other person that might be responsible. Say they signed up here, and then they come back in and sign up to go into another apartment, you say, whoa, wait a minute,
Well,
this isn't happening. You pay us here.
if
Well,
they,
we're gonna turn the water on here.
and that is done. That is done here.
Okay, all right.
But they're not gonna go chasing them to other cities.
No,
We're
no,
going back,
yeah.
we're going back to the landlord and say, hey,
Yeah.
and that's the way. it's
So I
going
guess
now.
you guys are kind of in favor of the deposit and also the $10?
I am, yeah.
Okay. With this kind of deal?
I don't know about the deposit part.
Just
I think it ought to be 25 to sign up for water.
from outside the box here, this is gonna affect the people that can least afford to pay it. Whether it's deposit, you know, and I can kinda understand the deposit because, especially if they don't have a history with the city. If they've
Well,
lived
that's
here 20
exactly
years
what,
and moved next door and they've always paid their bill,
Well, like Ramp Creek, I forget what their
That's what I
deposit is. It's like a couple $100 maybe. I can't remember when I had the meeting with them. But then they discussed how hard it is for these people that rent over there to come up with a couple $100 deposit.
Yeah,
So they
What
don't.
about $50?
Yeah, I personally would do at least 100 if it was us. But yeah, here. I mean, but then see, you got to remember the landlord charges them a deposit too. So we're hitting them for the water, and they're hitting them for whatever damage or anything that
Might be
happens
done
to
to the house, yeah.
to the house and
So
stuff
if the
too.
landlord ponies up the delinquency, then they're got the money that's gonna come back to the tenant anyway.
That's correct.
So,
And then another thing is, like I said, the deposit. Now, Pickington just does it for renters. They only hold $100 deposit for people that rent. I mean, we could go that length too, and not get into the residential window. You just do it for renters, and it helps out the landlords. So if they get delinquent or whatever happens, then when we send them that bill, because someone skipped out on them with a 2 or 3 month bill, then instead of being $300, it's $200 that they would owe.
Yeah.
The landlord would owe.
I don't know if it's so much helping the landlords as I want the city's collection of what's owed to them.
We get our money. The landlord would then go have to.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why we need a deposit to help the landlords out. I don't think we need to be in the business of helping landlords.
No, I don't think we need to be.
I mean, I don't understand that part at all.
But I do think.
Well, you wouldn't believe the landlords I talked to that want help.
Well,
Because
they're in the
all
business. That's their business. But
the first thing they'll do is they'll come in and say, well, NERC holds $100 deposit.
well, let them rent Newark, but let them build in Newark and live in Newark. If people want to live in Newark, let them live in Newark. If you want to live in Heath, pay the Heath fees.
Just bringing this up to you so you're aware of it.
Bring it in.
Okay.
But
But I mean, it's not that we're going to make a decision on tonight. But
no.
the mayor wanted me to talk about it. He told me to bring it up in the next public service meeting, and then he had a meeting and he wasn't able to make it. I'm sure he would have some comments for you and why he believes that we should have a deposit. So,
I really.
so just kind of giving you kind of a warning up front. This is something that may come about. I don't know if any kind of if we have to do any kind of ordinance or anything for that. It might. I mean, I don't know if it goes into an ordinance. I'm sure
probably for a rate change.
probably for some kind of a addition. I'm sure it'll have to be approved to council for another fee. Anyway, so that talks about the activation fee and deposits. Anyone having further discussion on that? Okay, we'll get into a little bit of spring cleaning at the water plant. We recently cleaned number 4 clarifier totally out and cleaned some cleaned the splitter box out, cleaned the static mixer vaults, and next week we're planning on doing the additional clarifier, and then we'll be done with the spring cleaning of all the water tanks at the water plant. Water line abandonment on State Route 79. John Appleman has been working on abandoning 2,500 feet of 8-inch water line in the middle of State Route 79 between Walgreens and 30th Street. To make this accomplishment, we will be boring 150 foot of under State Route 79 and laying about 400 feet of 12-inch water line alongside the road. Using the existing water lines that are in that area, we'll be able to move approximately 2,500 feet from the middle of Route 79, and it'll revert over to the side and the other. And we're doing that ourselves. This will be accomplished using city personnel and a company called Precise Boring, and it should show a cost savings to us instead of us spending the money to hire a contractor. John's been working real hard on that. He took it out of his regular budget, and he's went ahead and ordered the pipeline, 12-inch pipeline and everything. So that'll be occurring here probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Now, are we hooking into the new section on farther down?
Which side of 79 is going to put the
400 feet will be on the south side of 79. I guess you'd call it the
East side?
east
east side.
East side, east side.
The Walgreens side.
He said,
Walgreens side. Yeah. It will be boring from one side of the street underneath to this side, to the east side, the west side to the east side. But anyway, it's an idea he's came up with. It looks really good, and I think we had about $18,000 in materials. But anytime you get 2,500 foot of water main out in the middle of State Route 79, it's a plus. So that's about all I have to talk to on. Do you have a question?
yeah, question about, that's almost half a mile of 8-inch line. Is there anything that could ever be possibly used? I mean, you know, like, even if it's,
For that 8-inch line?
Yeah.
Well, see, we have the new 12-inch line that we're gonna be butting into that'll feed that. And the 8-inch line was originally put in years ago when it was just actually on the side of State Route 79. And then as State Route 79 expanded. And when it expanded over the years, it put that water main in the middle of the road. We recently abandoned, when we put in the median, we abandoned a bunch of water line that was in the middle of the road.
what I was talking about was access for, you know, I mean, just a crazy thought. You know, that even if it's electric,
Fiber optic or something.
something.
Something that you
Like
could
something.
utilize that,
Yeah.
with, yeah. I mean, if someone wants to put something in the middle of State Route 79, I suppose they could use the conduit part of it, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it'll always be there. I mean, we're not gonna bust it up, or it's not gonna go anywhere. So if someone wanted to use it for access or something like that, I'm sure that they could. That's why we abandon it. We don't try to pull it or do anything like that with it. So if someone came up with an idea or a scheme, or somebody wanted to utilize that for something,
Something, maybe some of the utilities could, you know, either
It's
rent
there.
it to them or sell it to them.
same way with where they put the median at, all that down through there, all that line's still there. It's in place. There's an 8-inch water line out in the middle of the road. So yeah, if someone could utilize it and they came to us, yeah, I'm sure. I don't think we wouldn't have any problem with it. It's a good idea. Any other questions on Route 70? That puts us into wastewater. Oh, I want to talk a little bit about distribution work that's been done. The guys are in the process of topsoil repair and for brake locations, curb box repairs, oops locations, busy months for backflow prevention. Backflow prevention is, May is one of the biggest months for that. What that is everybody who has a backflow device, mainly commercial and industrial, has to have that checked, and then they have to turn it into us to verify. Now there's another possibility. Some communities, I'm not saying that we're going to, some communities charge a fee every year to take that information and file it, and make sure that they do backflow prevention every year and it's kept up to date and everything.
How many accounts would that be applicable to? Approximately.
Mostly commercial. I don't know, probably maybe 20% of the 4,000 accounts. I guess maybe
800?
probably not 70.
Wow.
Would have backflow devices in it. You gotta remember that's anything commercial, industrial, would have a backflow device in it.
How much labor intensive time do we have?
It's more paperwork than anything, and you keep it on them. Like if we don't receive the document stating that their backflow preventer has been, then we have to write a letter to them saying, we've not received this yet. Or we have to stop by and say, hey, have you had your backflow device tested? It
Over the
falls
800,
there.
how many will we eventually have to chase?
I would have to get with John Appleman on that. I can't tell you exactly how many we're chasing. I just know that this is the biggest month. They're installed at different times, and then John has so many of them that come in every month. And he takes that data, puts it away, and makes sure that every one of them's been tested. If they haven't been tested, then he has a second letter that goes out, and we eventually get it. A lot of plumbers do that. They turn it in. They'll go to the facility. That place hires that plumber to do the work, and then they send that into us.
Maybe for your next meeting, you can do a little analysis on just how much labor and
How much labor?
cost we've got involved with this collection effort of the information. So,
Collection of backflow.
get it.
That many accounts, you sure as heck got some time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's, John Appleman and his crew does a lot of paperwork stuff, and phone calls, different things, to make sure that their backflow devices are tested.
Free them up to do more employee
Oh, yeah.
projects like you just described with this 79 one.
This is something that we've talked to before. I think I talked to the mayor about it a little bit. I think we've discussed it, something that we didn't get into as far as costs on that, but it's something that we certainly could do. Charging a fee for them to turn that into us.
Or a late fee if somebody's.
Someone habitually
Yeah,
does
if you
turn
got your
in late.
cast of suspects that are,
Mhm.
then you.
That's a good
pay
idea.
them with a fee, maybe not everybody, but just.
You know, the ones that are doing it and getting it in a timely manner,
No
why
big
should we
deal.
charge them a fee? But
Yeah, but
hey, there should be maybe a late fee, say,
Yeah.
hey,
A normal
You
cast
get
of
it done,
suspects.
yeah.
I said Appleman could say, yeah, we can count on this 100 names right here that
yeah,
are typically
typically late. I
I
have to
gotta
make a
go
second phone call.
bug
Yeah.
them, yeah. So those kind of folks who are, yeah, that's. where you can
habitual at it.
substantiate.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Move on to wastewater. Oh, also mentioned a couple things on boil alert. I want to let you guys know that we did have a couple boil alerts. One was on Cumberland Crest on Mare Street. The other one was on Lucky Drive. One on Lucky Drive involved a valve that it was leaking real bad. So we did repairs for that. And Cumberland Crest was just a regular main break. And we couldn't get the valve down enough to repair it. Most of the time, we have to have pressure in the lines. It's a new EPA. So we fix them while they're live. So we want water still coming out of the break. The guys get down in there, wrap the band around, and tighten everything up. Well, sometimes it just you can't isolate it enough, and it's flowing so bad that you can't get it repaired. So you got to actually shut down the whole line. Whenever that line decompresses, then there's a possibility of getting bacteria.
Yeah.
So that we have to do a 24-hour boil alert. And that's the first two guys we've had probably in at least over a year since we've had one. So they came pretty close together. So wastewater, scum collector bids came in. If you guys remember, we budgeted $125,000 for a new scum collector. I talked about that several times about replacing that down at the wastewater plant. We received bids. Those are the bids results. Tenco Hydro Incorporated, from the bid specifications that the engineers put out to these three companies, was low bidder with $79,800 for the new one. Evan Envirodyne Systems Incorporated was $115,950, and Walker Process Equipment is $136,100. We are currently reviewing the specifications, making sure everything's in there, but it looks like Tenco is going to get the bid.
That's quite a variance.
Isn't that something?
I'm sure they, make sure they didn't miss something.
did you meet with them, John?
Yeah,
21st?
yeah, we met with them on the 21st.
To make sure that they didn't skip something in their bid.
No, there's no bid.
Man.
It's good. It's good. It's competitive bid.
$35,000.
Yeah.
If I wanted that on the second one, look at the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the third.
I don't think
That's
one.
$57,000.
They must not have wanted the jobs.
Yeah, I think a lot. I don't know why.
Walker Process, $57,000.
You know, I've been on the phone with the engineer several times just to double check, make sure it's the exact same
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I've read through all the bid specifications. So is Jack Brown at the wastewater plant, and we can't see any difference between the three different pieces of equipment. They're stainless steel. It's all stainless steel, certain gauge. You know, there's not a whole lot to it. You know, I mean, there's baffles in there that move around, push the scum into a collection facility. So there's not a whole lot.
Did a good job.
So bids came in good.
Take it.
That's hungry contractors.
Yeah, we did. Right, in this case.
A lot of contractors throw a lot in there on anticipated increase in price, and that's both of us. We threw out bids like that to the government. If there's that much difference. Those two
Yeah. Anyway, 29,000, anyway, there's a difference of about $36,000, but on the 29th of this month, we'll award the bid, and it looks like, unless something pops up between now and then, but it looks like.
How long will it take to do it, John?
I talked about that. I think, it's gonna be installed in September.
Okay.
Is when it'll be installed down at the wastewater plant, is what we're shooting for.
They can't play that change order game. That's
exceed 10%.
infuriates the hell out of me when I see those change orders.
No change order.
Exceed
Low
10.
bid, but he's got a change order here and there, here and there.
No.
You can throw it out if it's over 10%.
There's no change order. I mean, it is what it is. We described the
Yeah, I
unit,
know.
stainless steel, it's hot, how many gallons per minute it's supposed to treat, everything's been spelled out. So there's nothing that can change on that. Any other questions on scum collection? Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about bioassay. A bioassay is what we just had done last week down at the wastewater plant. It's done once every 5 years. And what that does is it helps the EPA set limits on what discharges are gonna be to the river. Like I said, this will be for our 2016 permit. It'll help them determine what limits they're gonna set for us. As far as I know, everything went well. But a bioassay involves the use of live animals or plants or tissue or cells to determine the biological activity of a substance, such as hormones or drugs. Bioassays are typically conducted to measure the effects of substances on the living organisms. Both are producers by which the potency of the nature of a substance is estimated by studying its effects on living matter. So what they do is kind of just make it real simple. They'll take our wastewater and they'll put it in with like some minnows or other wildlife, aquatic life, and then they see over a period of time if our wastewater discharge has affected those live species there. And we do it every year ourselves, but then the EPA does it once every 5 years to determine different limits that occur that they want discharged to the South Fork and the Licking River. So the EPA did their once every 5 year thing last week. We will not get that report. That's strictly the EPA's information. Now the one we do every year, we will get that. It'll say whether it passed or it didn't pass, but this report we never get. It's the EPA holds this, and they do their own thing. So, like I say, it's to determine discharge limits to the South Fork. Any questions on the bioassay that we had last week from the EPA? Generator service. I talked about we switched generator companies and we did different things here recently to get lower bids. We have determined that some aspects of the general maintenance can be carried out by water and wastewater employees after the inspection of generators from Cummings Bridgeway, which is a new company. We receive a list of needed repairs. Some of these repairs can be completed by city personnel, such as battery replacement, coolants, possibly engine block, heaters, stuff that we feel that we can handle ourselves. We are not going to pay a company to come over, like Cummings Bridgeway, so much for travel time and this and that. When it comes to just replacing batteries and doing minor stuff, we've taken that upon ourselves to start doing. So we feel that there'll be a savings to the city with limited travel time. This company coming in and charging $300 to travel from Columbus to here to Columbus. So now when they get into stuff like head gaskets and different things that we don't feel real confident in on the generators or a different piece of electrical equipment that we feel that we can't do ourselves, well then we would have the generator service company do it. So I just kind of wanted to run that by you. Okay.
What size generators?
We have them anywhere from about 50 kilowatts to clear up to about, I think our biggest maybe about 300.
3 days?
Yeah, 3 days, yeah. It's the big ones. Ones that run our plants are the biggest. We have 2 at the wastewater plant, 1 at the water plant. Our smaller generators run lift stations, pump stations, water pump stations. Wanted to let you know that we put a new roof on the wastewater, 2 new roofs on the wastewater plant this year. Every year I do so many roofs at the wastewater plant. All the roofs have been replaced with about a 40-year guaranteed roof. So I think I did my last 2 since I've been here. And we put a metal roof on, and they've done real well for us. Similar to a roof that you'd put on a pole barn. Anyway, we just did 2 roofs for a cost of $4,406. Some wastewater collection work in progress, repair of generators that I talked about, checking stations and OOPS locations, sewer tap inspections, sewer line and manhole inspections are taking place right now. Go through some of the slides. This is the new roof that's going on the blower building that I mentioned. That has been completed.
These are repairs or replacements?
These are replacements. What we do is we lay a metal roof over top of a shingle roof. As long as the shingle roof is laying flat, not curling or anything like that, we put down a barrier over top of the shingles and then put the metal roof on top of that. And that's been real successful for us, as long as we don't let it go too long. If we let those shingles start to curl, then it's harder to get a good seal. So, but we've been on top of all of ours, been doing them as needed. And there's the grit building. That's the roof that they're working on there.
Same contractor you use?
I use the same contractor. They give us a good price. Those are 2 roofs. If you can see the 2 roofs there, for a price of a little over $4,000. It gives us a really good price all the time. And usually that's Amish guys that work for it.
Who is it?
R&R, the name of it, R&R roof repair. Roger Morgan. He builds a lot of pole barns, and builds a lot of stuff like that. But he's pretty good. He's done us a real good job. He's done us a lot. You know, the addition that we added on to the distribution building not too long ago, we added on an addition to this. He did that addition for us. He added on an addition at the wastewater plant that we store all of our pumps in now. He did that work for us too.
You don't do anything about drainage along the edges, what you call storm drainage, you don't do anything with that.
Storm drains in streets, or are you talking on off of roofs?
On the street.
On the street? I don't do it. That's falls under John Groff storm drain.
I started getting a bunch of raccoons tearing my garbage out, so I kept watching, I found out where they were coming out of there, but somebody is pouring something down in there that's staying on the grid. It looks like grease or something. Not car grease, but them coons come in there and eat that.
That's what's attracting.
Yeah, and I don't know who's doing it. If I ever catch them, I'm gonna.
Well, we actually, remember I told you about the local restaurant that was doing that, dumping grease down the storm drain?
I think I know who it is. I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah,
Tell him what.
I think I would.
John told me what the fine was if they catch them.
Blow the whistle over in Whispering Pines.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, but that's dumb, you know. I never had a coon problem until it pissed me off. I opened my back door up and there was a coon on my patio. That upset well with me. You can't shoot the sucker in the city.
Come up on my house, you can shoot all of them. I shot, I don't know how many, that one year I trapped 17 that one summer. In a live trap, caught 17 of them suckers.
Probably the same one coming back every time.
Hey, no, it wasn't, because that's something that
he goes down the street. Goes down the street and lets them out.
Bank.
Fired a gun in the city,
It's illegal.
One of my neighbors,
Camera.
one of my neighbors over on Conway, he's dead now, but he told me, he said, I got rid of my problem, but he had another problem. He had a door, he come up out of the basement, you know, and then he
Hey,
kicked the
folks.
door out there.
Make sure you
He had
watch
a
the
hole,
door.
and he had the door come back 12 gauge. He
Please,
didn't have
make sure you
nothing
watch
in
this.
here. He said, I couldn't hear anything for a week.
I'm trying to figure out how we got from a roof to roof.
To shoot
From a
right
roof to I'm not sure how we got there.
In the minutes, John lost control.
You lost control.
At 6:20.
I guess I did.
Hid back here so they couldn't see.
Okay, anyway, things have been running real good at the wastewater plant. I showed you a couple, under press it's running. We're getting really good solid contents and everything. These are things that I talked about. This is a geotechnical work that's done at the new tank site. The guys are drilling those and putting in the split spoon sampling, and they'll look at that,
So that
material,
yeah.
see how they're gonna lay the tank on top of that location, what's gonna be needed for a foundation and so forth. So that's pictures of that. That's actually the site there.
What are they
where the new
doing,
tank
Tom?
will go.
You say that's drilling there?
Yeah, they're geotechnical work. They're trying to find out what type of, when we put the tank on there, what foundation is going to best support the tank. So they're taking samples of the soil borings. No. This is the main break, which really was a valve problem on Lucky Drive that we had. We dug down beside the valve. We cut in a new valve. That's the new valve right there that we put it in place. And that ended up being a main break, and it also ended up being a boiler because we couldn't get things valved down enough to get it repaired. Those are the guys. That's our crew doing the work on the repairs. I snapped this picture real quick because I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but they did some repairs.
That's the Durapatcher.
That's the dirt patcher. Dirt patcher that did some work for us in front of the distribution building. That's one of the workers there filling a pothole with the dirt
Does a
patcher.
good job.
Does a real good job. Yep. Does a real good job. As long as we can get them out doing it.
Yeah.
This is what I talked about, the clarifier, cleaning that number 4 clarifier. This is our most recent clarifier that was constructed 2 years ago. We dropped it down and cleaned it at the water plant. That is when I talked about the splitter box, cleaning the splitter box. That's the splitter box that we cleaned. And that's actually down inside the clarifier. That's at the bottom of the hood, towards the bottom of the clarifier. As we drain every tank, clean it, we'll wash it out well, twice a year actually, once in the fall and once in the spring. This is our Lime Lagoon. The guys have actually pulled back in. We extended their contract. They're supposed to get rid of some more lime for us. So we extended their contract because they never did get out the total amount. I've talked about that in the past.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be coming in next week. Evidently, they got someplace to put it because they called me and said that they had some, if they could come and take some lime out. A lot of the farmers' fields are already planted, so
Yeah.
where this is going, I have no idea. They have to get the certification and everything in order to haul away. Once it leaves our facility, it's
their baby.
ours. As soon as they drive out the front with the rig, that's theirs. So whatever happens to it or wherever it goes, they have to get approval for it. Major fund report. Those are the major funds: water operating, water capital improvement, wastewater operating, wastewater replacement fund, and wastewater capital improvements. Those are the amount of money that's in the major funds. I think you were looking at the fund page earlier today.
Pardon?
You were talking about the con. You were looking at the funds. I think.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Funds
Yeah.
earlier today. That was just taken from that. Other than that, that's all I've got.
We
Got any questions?
do a lot of paperwork to save this money.
We try.
Appreciate it.
We try.
Comments?
One question, what kind of schedule, rate increases? What, this year, next year, whatever?
You have a rate increase mainly in wastewater for the next 3 years. It'll be for 2015, 16, and 17. And I'm trying to remember. We're at about 3%.
2%, 3%.
3%.
I think it was 3%, 3%,
And then
maybe 3.5%. or
3.5,
something.
I think, the third.
Yeah, for the next 3 years. That just went on the wastewater side. So it's not an across board 3%. It's only half your bill approximately half your bill is gonna represent that 3% rate increase.
Anything else? We're adjourned at 6:45.